Someone is claiming to have a short video of Nancy Guthrie's kidnapper standing next to her on what they describe as probably the last day of her life. Names of both kidnappers, home addresses, ages, photographs, all of it sitting on a single phone stashed in a secure location. And they will hand over the password and location for 1 Bitcoin. Now, before you decide how to feel about that, I need you to hold 3 questions in your mind at the same time, because each one leads this case somewhere completely different. Question 1. Is this a genuine eyewitness sitting on real evidence that could break this case open overnight? Question 2. Is this the actual kidnapper, back with a new identity and a new strategy after the original $4 million ransom plan collapsed completely? Question 3. Is this another opportunist, another scammer, another person who looked at the pain of an 84-year-old woman's family and decided it was a financial opportunity? Because here is the thing. If the answer is question 1, this is the single biggest development in 148 days. If the answer is question 2, everything we thought we understood about the communications in this case just changed. And if the answer is question 3, then Nancy Guthrie's family is being exploited again by someone who has absolutely nothing to offer them. By the end of this, you will have everything you need to form your own answer, because the evidence points in all 3 directions simultaneously. And every single one of them changes this case. Okay, so let me start with what TMZ has actually confirmed about this sender, because this is not a random new voice that appeared out of nowhere this week. According to TMZ, this person has been sending emails to Harvey Levin since the very beginning of this case. Approximately a dozen communications since early February, and TMZ confirmed the latest message is from the same person using 2 verification methods. The sender referenced a private Bitcoin wallet address that was never made public, one used only in earlier communications, and they used the same alias from the very first email. TMZ's own IT team verified both. This is the same individual, not a copycat, not a new opportunist, the same person who has been reaching out to Harvey Levin since shortly after Nancy disappeared. Now here is where the pattern of these communications becomes significant, because what this person has said across a dozen emails, taken in sequence, tells a story that is either genuinely alarming or genuinely calculated. In the very first email, sent just days after the kidnapping, they said they knew the identity of the kidnappers and their location. They offered that information in exchange for 1 Bitcoin, and they said time is of the essence. The very next day, they sent another email that said something that stopped Harvey Levin cold. Time is no longer of the essence. Think about what that phrase means. That is not someone saying the deal is off. That is someone signaling that the urgency has changed because the outcome has changed, because something irreversible has already happened. TMZ reported at the time that phrase was their indication, before the second ransom note ever became public, that Nancy was no longer alive. Then across the following months, this person told TMZ the kidnappers took Nancy to Mexico. They said they needed money because they would have to go underground out of fear of retribution. They expressed concern about being implicated in the kidnapping themselves. They kept refusing every reasonable alternative Harvey offered. And now this week, they escalated to the most dramatic claim yet. Video on a phone, names, addresses, ages of both kidnappers. Everything needed to close this case, according to them. Available for $60,000 worth of Bitcoin. Now here is what I want you to notice about Harvey Levin's response to all of this. Because the way he has handled these communications is genuinely smart. Every single time this person reached out, Harvey pushed back methodically. He did not simply accept the claims. He did not simply dismiss them. He tested them. When they first asked for 1 Bitcoin, Harvey said, why not take the $1 million reward instead? That is significantly more than $60,000, and it is completely anonymous. If you genuinely know who did this, take the reward and stay hidden. The logic is airtight. The person's response was they were too afraid of law enforcement and too afraid of retribution from the kidnappers to use the official reward system. Harvey then escalated his own offer. He said, fine. TMZ will be the go-between. We will facilitate the reward payment to you anonymously. You stay completely hidden, you give us the information, we give it to the FBI and the family, you get $1 million, and you never interact with law enforcement directly. That offer was refused too. And when this person this week claimed to have video on a phone, Harvey's immediate response was, prove it. Send a screen grab. Show us something real before any money changes hands. The response was that the metadata on a screen grab would lead authorities directly to him and that he feared the kidnappers would retaliate if they found out he was talking. Now I want you to sit with that response, because it is either the most logical thing a genuinely terrified eyewitness would say, or it is the most convenient excuse a scammer produces when called on a bluff they cannot back up. That question does not have a comfortable answer yet. But the experts who addressed it this week said things that are going to be very hard to dismiss. Okay, so let me bring in the two most credentialed voices who addressed this directly this week. Because what they said cuts through everything and gets to the core of what this communication actually is. James Fitzgerald, FBI profiler and forensic linguist. The man who cracked the Unabomber case by analyzing written language. Fitzgerald was direct. He does not believe this person is legitimate. He does not believe virtually any of the communications in this case are from the actual abductors. But the specific challenge he raised about this latest claim is the most devastating logical problem I have heard anyone articulate about it. He said this person is claiming to have names, addresses, and ages of two kidnappers. Okay, do you think those two kidnappers would know who this person is if he is putting this information out there publicly? And if they do, they are going to take him out. Think about what that means. If this eyewitness genuinely has the identities and locations of two violent people who took an 84-year-old woman from her home in the middle of the night and caused her death, and those people are monitoring coverage of this case, which violent criminals almost always do, then going to TMZ is the single most dangerous thing this person could do. TMZ is public. TMZ has millions of viewers. Going to TMZ makes this eyewitness publicly visible to the exact people they claim to fear. Going to the FBI directly and anonymously gives them protection, gives them the $1 million reward, and accomplishes everything they claim to want. And they are not doing it. Fitzgerald's answer to why is simple. Because they probably do not have what they claim to have. A genuine frightened eyewitness with real information goes to law enforcement. A scammer goes to TMZ, because TMZ is a platform and $60,000 in Bitcoin is achievable in a way that a law enforcement interaction is not, when you have nothing real to offer. He also raised the amount itself, 1 Bitcoin, $60,000. If you genuinely have video of a murderer, names, addresses, photographs, and you are risking your life by exposing dangerous people, $60,000 is not enough money to put your life on the line. That number makes sense for an opportunist looking for a low-stakes payout. It does not make sense for a genuine informant sitting on evidence in a violent murder case. Now, Heather Barnhart, digital forensics expert from the SANS Institute, came at this from a completely different angle. And what she said is equally difficult to dismiss. She said the behavior pattern screams scammer from the very beginning. The escalating claims, the refusal of perfectly reasonable alternative offers, the increasingly frustrated tone when Harvey pushed back. And specifically, the claim that all of this evidence exists only on a single physical phone in a single secret location. She said that makes no technical sense. Video and images can be backed up to cloud storage, to multiple devices, to encrypted drives automatically. There is no legitimate reason a person with genuine video evidence would store it only on one physical phone that requires a password to access and that cannot be proven to exist without that password. That specific detail, one phone, one location, one password, is structured in a way that makes verification impossible by design. She also raised something that changes how you read every communication in this case. She said some of the ransom note language throughout this investigation appears to have been AI generated, better grammar than the others, stripped of the identifying header data that forensic analysts use to trace email origins. She was running a live test at the time of her interview demonstrating exactly this. From her personal phone, she could send emails appearing to come from 3 different people, routed through a server in Denver, Colorado, regardless of where she physically was. No real account, no real identity, no real location embedded in the header. Now here is the most uncomfortable question in this entire story, and I want to ask it directly because it deserves a direct answer. Could the person sending these emails to Harvey Levin actually be one of the kidnappers themselves? Think about the timeline carefully. The original plan was to demand $4 million in Bitcoin in exchange for Nancy's return. That deadline passed without payment. Then she died, apparently within days of the kidnapping. The second note arrived apologizing and offering to return her body. No payment came. The original plan had completely collapsed. Now, if you are someone who planned an elaborate kidnapping that ended in an accidental death and your ransom plan has failed, your victim is dead and you still need money, what are your options? You could stop communicating and hope the investigation never finds you. Or you could reframe yourself. Change your identity in the communications from kidnapper to informant. Instead of demanding money for Nancy's return, you are now demanding money for information about the people who took Nancy. You are no longer the villain. You are a scared witness who knows too much and needs protection money to stay safe. That reframing accomplishes several things simultaneously. It distances you publicly from the crime. It creates a new financial opportunity after the first one failed. It lets you keep communicating with a case the FBI is monitoring while appearing to be on the right side of the investigation. And it introduces a new character and a new narrative that muddies the investigative waters. Is there evidence for this theory? Consider this. The very first message this person sent arrived just days after the kidnapping. At a moment when very few details were public, they said time is of the essence. The next day they said time is no longer of the essence. That shift happened faster than almost any genuine outside eyewitness would have known Nancy had died, unless they were already directly connected to whoever held her. They also mentioned Mexico before Mexico became an established investigative thread, before the anonymous tip to Buscando Corazones in Nogales, before the Mariposa area search, before the Tohono-O'odham reservation corridor emerged publicly. How did they know? As Fitzgerald put it, the actual abductor is probably sitting back right now watching the scammers and the fake note writers take the heat off him. But what if the TMZ tipster is not separate from the abductor? What if the person Harvey Levin has been exchanging emails with for 4 months is playing a completely different character in Act 2 of the same story? That is the question this investigation cannot yet answer. But the FBI is watching every email, and every communication this person sends gives investigators another data point to work with. Okay, so where does official law enforcement actually stand on this? Because the gap between the sheriff's public position and the FBI's working position tells you something important about where this investigation is genuinely heading. Sheriff Chris Nanos addressed the latest TMZ communication directly on Kavoy AM 1030's Buckmaster show on June 26th. He said it is a shame that these types of events occur and that people have great interest, which is good because it helps, but then it really gets abused by people who call in fake ransom notes. He added he thinks they are looking at another one of those today with what has been reported. One sentence. Not exactly a ringing endorsement of the claim's credibility. But here is what I need you to notice. Nanos did not say the FBI investigated and dismissed it. He said we will let the FBI do their work. That careful language tells you there is distance between his personal read and the official investigative position. And that distance matters enormously right now, because the FBI's position is different. Harvey Levin confirmed the FBI has been notified of every single communication from this person as it arrived across 4 months. They have been tracking it throughout. And critically, the FBI told Harvey directly they do not want TMZ to pay the 1 Bitcoin. Not because the claim is definitely fake, but because they are actively making progress on the case through their own investigative threads. Active progress. Those were the specific words used. Not we are stuck. Not we have exhausted our leads. Active progress. That tells you the investigative threads the FBI actually believes in. The genetic genealogy work, the blockchain analysis, the linguistic forensics on the authentic notes, the street-level intelligence are still moving and still heading somewhere. Now let me bring in what Heather Barnhart said about the digital forensics picture specifically, because understanding what is technically possible changes how you understand why this person has not been identified yet, and why the FBI is telling Harvey to keep them talking rather than pay them off. Every email has a mail header, the forensic equivalent of the envelope a letter arrives in. It contains sender information, every server the message passed through, geographic routing data, unique message IDs. This is where digital forensic analysts look first. In a standard case, tracing an email produces an account, a unique message ID, and geographic routing that leads to a physical location. But if these communications were generated through an AI backend tool, the message ID and reply ID that would normally appear in the header simply are not there. Law enforcement pulling the header data would find a server location that has nothing to do with where the actual sender is physically sitting. But here is where it gets interesting. Barnhart said machine ID cookies are the stronger investigative angle. A search warrant served on the email provider looking for which devices have logged into this account. If the sender logged in from both a laptop and a personal phone, the cookie created by that phone login potentially connects to a device with location data enabled. And that device's location history places the sender at specific places at specific times. She also said something that every person following this case needs to hear clearly. Everyone makes a mistake. No one is a perfect criminal. One strand of hair left behind. One digital footprint not properly cleaned up. One moment when a cell phone pinged a tower it should not have pinged. Those imperfections exist. The investigation just has to find them. And most importantly, she said, the more this person communicates, the better for investigators. Every additional email is another potential data point, another potential header artifact, another potential cookie, another chance to slip. Keep them talking. That is the FBI's strategy, and it is working in the direction of an answer even if that answer is not visible yet. Now let me bring everything together because this is where I want to be completely honest with you about where this case actually stands. There are 3 explanations for who this person is, and each one is still possible. They are a scammer with nothing real to offer. The escalating claims, the refusal of every reasonable alternative, the one phone in a secret location detail that makes no technical sense, the resistance to providing even a single screen grab, all of it points here. This is Fitzgerald's read. This is Barnhart's read. This is Sheriff Nanos's public position. They are a genuine, terrified eyewitness who is paralyzed by fear. Someone adjacent to this crime who saw something real, who knows something real, and who cannot bring themselves to trust any institution enough to deliver what they have through a safe channel. This person might have real information and might never find the courage to properly use it. Or they are the kidnapper, running Act 2 of the same plan with a different costume, unable to stop communicating, unable to walk away from the financial opportunity they originally planned for, providing just enough detail to sound credible while carefully avoiding anything that could be verified or that could point back to themselves. The FBI has not publicly answered which of those 3 this person is, but every email they send moves that answer closer. Every Bitcoin address they provide is a financial tripwire the FBI is watching. Every communication passing through a server is a potential artifact that forensic analysts know how to find. Now I want to speak directly to whoever has been sending those emails to Harvey Levin, because 4 months is a long time to carry something. You said time is no longer of the essence before the rest of the world knew what that meant. You mentioned Mexico before Mexico became a confirmed investigative thread. You have information, real or partial, genuine or constructed, that has kept Harvey Levin and the FBI paying attention across a dozen communications. Something is driving this beyond pure opportunism. Harvey offered you $1 million anonymously with himself as the buffer. You said no. So here is the alternative that has always existed, the FBI tip line, tips.fbi.gov, a web form, no name required, no direct law enforcement interaction, complete anonymity, and a reward that is 20 times what you are asking Harvey for. If you have what you claim to have, that is the path. It has always been the path, and if you are the person who was at Nancy's door on the night of January 31st, trying a different role in Act 2, then you already know that every email is another data point, every Bitcoin address is a tripwire, and no one is a perfect criminal forever. Nancy Guthrie went to Mass every Sunday morning. She was first reported missing because she did not show up to watch a church live stream with the friends who loved her. Her daughter said, "We beg you to return our mother so we can celebrate with her." They are still waiting. Stay with this case. Something is moving. I will talk to you very soon.